It's time for this week's UpLift. 3 ordinary guys that want you to find the freedom that is available by knowing our Lord Jesus Christ. So sit back and enjoy UpLift, brought to you by the Fulcrum Center. Visit our site at thefulcrumcenter.org.
Hey guys, got an idea.
Okay.
I bet you do.
Yeah. How about if we change things up a bit and we start recording UpLift remotely every week? What do you think?
I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a good flexible option.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope everybody else will agree with us, and I hope that they're at peace with it.
Yes.
Oh,
Look at that.
Because that's what we're going to talk about tonight is peace. But hey, just a quick little update to get you started. We're doing some upgrades, new software, to go with the new equipment, a new camera, but we're going to be recording remotely.
Yeah.
We talked about it and believe that it's going to give us a lot more flexibility, and we can have more people on, and
Yes.
we are going to have live call-ins soon. We got to work out the bugs on that one a little bit, but we will have you call us when we're live. We're going to go live on Facebook or YouTube or something like that and have you call us and ask us questions.
Yeah.
And we'll make Chad answer them all.
I think that's a great idea.
Hey, I'll give you an answer. You might not like it, but I'll give you an answer.
So what do you guys think? You
As long as we have a mute button.
I didn't think of that.
Well, I don't disagree. That's the best part.
Right.
They're like, oh, he's going off the rails again. Boom. Yep.
I think it's a great idea. I'm looking forward to the shift and some of the, like what you said, Phil. Some of the upgrades and things like that, and just see what we have next. And I do love the flexibility.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. But I did promise my wife that if I record on a Saturday morning, I will keep it quiet so I don't wake her up like I did last time we recorded on a Saturday morning. Yeah, I got in trouble.
Oh. But yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, okay. So I've been thinking, I know Chad said he's been studying peace with God, and I've been thinking about it a lot and might be doing a sermon on it pretty soon. So, what exactly is the peace of God?
Well, Chad, since you've been studying it,
Since I've been studying it, I'm gonna say it's something that I probably haven't experienced a whole lot of, and that's why I'm studying it. How you like that answer?
That's a great one.
Yeah, see, that's why you bring me on here.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I've been thinking. I think that the times I did not have peace with God, I realized afterwards that I was trying to prove myself to God. And I didn't have to do that. You see, we don't realize sometimes the incredible sacrifice that Jesus made, did so many things. He forgave our sins, but it did so much more for us. He told us in John chapter 10, I've come that you may have life and have it abundantly. And he really meant that. We get so much because of what he did. So we don't have to try to prove ourselves because, today's, as we're recording this, is 3:23, and Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Just no matter how hard we try, we're not going to prove ourselves to God. We can't. His standard is too high, and he doesn't want us to try to prove it. As we strive to try to prove ourselves to God, we lack peace with God when we do that. That's one thing. That's just my personal experience, and it doesn't mean that I don't try, but I know who I am, and I know who he is, and I know what he does in me, and I recognize and acknowledge to him what he does in me, and it's not me doing it. And that brings me an incredible amount of peace.
with me, for part of what I look at is I started all of the different looking into peace and all from a a different perspective in that I felt like my life was full of chaos, and that my mind was at points, and I think we've all heard the phrase "the devil's playground." I mean, it was just, a point in time that things were just chaotic, and it was like a constant storm that was going on in my mind. And so understanding and knowing that God and Satan are opposites. So I would look at my mind and look at the chaos that was there and understand that there was an opposite to that. Mm-hmm. And so, how do I get to that point? Well, I just start to analyze my own mind and why was the chaos and how did that ensue and all of those things. A lot of it came from a point of performance, and that's part of what you were talking about, mm-hmm. Phil. And it's because I couldn't control things. I couldn't stop things from happening or other people's responses or those type of things. So it was really a point of control. So the opposite of the control is trust. And so I really went to the point of asking the Lord, help me to trust you in all of these things. Mm-hmm. And God began to unveil me and the points where I had to ask for forgiveness, mm-hmm. And to clear that part out, mm-hmm. because I've taken so many years to fill my mind with that type of thinking, mm-hmm. that I needed to ask for forgiveness and clean those things out, mm-hmm. and renounce the desire to want to control those things. Mm-hmm. And so then, after clearing that out, then it's the point of embracing the trust, mm-hmm. that I need to have towards God. Mm-hmm. And that kind of put me in a dilemma, because I'm like, well, how am I supposed to do this? Mm-hmm. And it was very simple. And you've said it several times, Phil, about, well, if you need help, ask God. Right?
Right.
Yeah. And so it's like, he's the one that cleared out all of the control and the chaos. And so he wants to replace it with who he is, mm-hmm. and he wants to show himself to us. So God, help me to trust you in these things. Mm-hmm. And so I'm letting go of control and trusting God, and it built my faith, and it continues to grow even to today. But it brought his peace into my heart and into my mind, mm-hmm. because I'm letting go of the control and what the enemy wanted me to live in, and surrendering myself to trusting God, who is everything that he says he is, mm-hmm. and learning to trust him in those times. Mm-hmm. So it's been that was part of my journey, mm-hmm. and all into peace, and still, we're all, like we said earlier, we're all projects, mm-hmm. We're all working towards these things. Yep. But that's part of my journey in that peace. And then so then you get to experience that peace. And so then you're like, wow, I really don't understand this. This is something, well, you know what? The Bible talks about the peace that passeth all understanding, and then that's almost like a check mark to go, that's God. Yeah. If I don't understand it and I can't figure out how, but I feel so peaceful inside, that's got to be the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm very similar to what you're describing, is basically like, I've battled anxiety and fear my entire life. Just very much so. And it's like, recently over the past couple of months, it's been like more and more just super anxiety and affecting my life more and more. And it's like, well, God, I know this isn't of you.
Right.
So
right.
It's absolutely not. And it's like, it's built up to a point where it's like, okay, God, I need your help to deal with this. And he's basically revealed to me a lot of things that you just described.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And it's like, because, there are certain things that we try to control. For me, it's not as much as a performance thing or anything like that, as much as it's like trying to control everything and just worrying about everything. And one thing that I've learned a lot from over the past couple of weeks is casting our cares upon him.
That's good, Chad.
And what does that really mean? And like we can say it, like we can say words like, oh God, like I cast this thing upon you, but it's like, no, I'm just going to keep it. Like, and so we can't have peace that way. And then, like we talked about earlier, if we don't have peace, that holds us back from so many other things. Mm-hmm. Because Jesus is peace.
Yeah.
You know, peace. When he reappeared to the apostles, he said, "Peace be with you." Now, something clicked in me and said, "Okay, Jesus is peace."
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
And so it's like, okay, I honestly, just putting this out there, I feel like I've never experienced the peace of God in my life, and that's a real problem for me. And it's like, okay, God, help.
Yeah.
Whatever help looks like, I need your help. And so it's walking on this path.
That's awesome. It really is.
Is it that you've never experienced it, or you're not real sure what it is?
Well, I mean, there may have been glimpses of it, but my life up until this point, I really feel like my life has been controlled.
Yeah, okay.
Controlled by, the Christian term would be stronghold of anxiety and fear.
Yeah.
Of everything. And I've, you know, like, Kathy's always making fun of me because I shake my leg everywhere all the time. And she'll just put her hand on my leg. I've done that my whole life. Because why? Because I'm anxious and I'm afraid I have these deep-rooted fears inside of me about different things. And it's like, you know, as time goes on, the older I get, I realize, like, I recognize, like, this isn't good for me. And so it's time to do something about it. And it's just another situation that we go through to where it's like, okay, God's walking us out of these things. You know? And it's very individual for each person.
Yeah.
You know, so like we have this stuff that God's walking us out of, and your path to walk out of that is very unique to you, to each of us individually, you know.
Yeah, that's true. And the reason I asked you that, Chad, was to say that you're recognizing that there's something more that you could have. Because you're saying, I don't think I've ever had it. So you know there's something that you could have.
Right.
And that's not coming from you.
Right.
That's coming from God telling you that it's there. I'm bringing it to you.
Right. I wonder how many people out there have you know, died with needles in their arms who just really have felt like they never had peace, or it had been for a very long time they never had peace in their life. And in a way, I feel that way about myself. Like, I mean, there have been glimpses, there have been moments of happiness, which is different than joy.
Sure.
There have been, times of happiness in my life and that sort of thing, but there's always been this deep-rooted anxiety and fear in me that is going to be difficult and timely. It's going to take time and patience for God to walk me out of these things. But it's totally worth it because, you know, you can't live your whole life under all these strongholds and imprisoned.
Yeah.
Which is something that, you've talked about in the past. Like, you know, it's like we got to open these prison doors and walk out of this prison. And it's not, sometimes you can snap your fingers and have that happen. For most people, it's not. It's walking a path of learning and having an understanding of God and breaking off these old strongholds, these old shackles to get out of those situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let me encourage you, because I used to shake my leg all the time too. I don't anymore.
Right.
I used to be full of anxiety. I mean, when I first met you, I told you that I had an anxiety problem. No, I just was waiting for the day that God was going to bring me out of it.
Right.
And he will bring you out of this too, and into incredible peace with him.
Right.
It is coming.
Yeah.
Is it Galatians 5:22 and 23? That's fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness,
faithfulness, meekness,
and self-control.
Self-control.
So we were talking before we started recording that, you know, it kind of like God put it in order. Love, joy, peace. And have you experienced love before?
Yes.
Sure. Have you experienced joy?
See, that's difficult.
Okay.
I don't, because there's happiness and there's joy.
Sure.
And you know, would have to think about that.
Okay. Have you ever been what you might call happy, but it didn't come from anything you did or anybody did for you? You just felt incredible joy?
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I'd have to think about it.
Okay.
You know?
That comes from God. That's why I'm saying that.
Right.
It's not from you. It's, happiness comes from within, but joy comes from the Lord. And the next thing is peace.
I would say so. I mean, I think we probably all have at times.
Oh, I'm sure we have.
You know, yeah.
It depends on what scale you're putting it on, of how you measure it. But I'm sure you have. But peace is there. It's right at the door for you. Right. It's coming. And then you get to deal with patience.
But you have love, joy, and peace that helps you deal with patience.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
So he already sets the stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, peace with, and Phil will know the passage. I don't.
The peace that passes all understanding.
No. When Jesus is out on the boat in the boat with the disciples.
Okay.
And the storm raises up.
Yes.
Okay.
And he says, "Peace, be still."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it's chapter 10. I can't remember if it's Matthew or Mark, but it's chapter 10.
I think it's Mark.
I think it's Mark.
Yeah. But I dove into that from a standpoint of the fear and the anxiety of the disciples and the storm between the wind and the waves and the boat rocking, and, all those different things are happening at once. And it's just like, that was a picture of my brain. Mm-hmm. That was a picture of my mind. And it's like, you don't know where the next thought is coming from. Mm-hmm. You don't know how hard it's going to hit the boat. All these different things that we can play out. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, man, so then here's Jesus, he comes walking across in the storm and he says, "Peace, be still." Mm-hmm. So it was really interesting to me there, because it's like Jesus broke up that situation into the two worlds, the spiritual world and the physical world. Mm-hmm. And in the anxiety and the fear and the worry of the disciples, he spoke peace. Mm-hmm. And to the wind and the waves, the physical, he told them to be still. Mm-hmm. And it was just really interesting to take a look at it that way and go, man, that's my life. And that's what goes on in my brain, because what's going on spiritually, that attack of the fear and the chaos and the anxiety, causes physical reaction. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, in 3 words, Jesus just owned it. I mean, talk about the mic drop in the spiritual and the physical world. Yeah. Wham! And the disciples are like, what just happened? But that also reflects the immediate, which is what you're talking about earlier, Chad. My experience has not been that immediate. And the reason that I talked about trust earlier is because that God has and is still walking me through this. And as he's walking me through, he's like, "Ian, I want you to build trust with me." And trust equates to relationship. Right. So it's like, for me, it wasn't that immediate miracle, right, that we read about it in Mark 10. Right. But it's been this process of relationship. Mm-hmm. And in that, I'm walking out of my prison cells. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I'm walking out, but yet I'm putting relationship and trust and hope and those type of things in my backpack, so to say, and replacing the anxiety and the fear and the worry and those type of things too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, as far as the walking things out and that process, I can testify to all that I've gained by walking through that. Mm-hmm. It's been great. Would I do it again? Man, has it been hard? Yeah, it has. But Chad, you made a great point to go, there's a point in time when you realize this is not the life I'm supposed to have.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
This is not what God intended.
That's right.
So let's change that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you reach a point where you could be walking a path of physical destruction.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Curry Blake put it, I was listening to some of his stuff there over the last weekend or earlier this week. And, he put it, because it's John G. Lake Ministries. And he's basically the caretaker of it at this point. And he said, in the term that he used was frequency. And he said, when you're living in that that tone or that frequency where you're just telling yourself all these chaos and this anxiety and all these fear and stuff, he said your flesh is in that same tone or frequency. That's how you were operating in the spiritual and in the flesh. And he said, you're just in complete chaos, every aspect of your life. And when you are in that mode, or that, he called it frequency, and it's like, okay, so this goes hand in hand with so many other things. It goes hand in hand with your the healing of your flesh, and it goes hand in hand with your mind and your soul and everything. Your whole gosh, what do I want to say? Do I want to say personal Trinity? Whatever you want to call it.
Your whole being.
Flesh. Yes,
your whole being.
Yes.
Yeah, body, mind, and soul.
Yes, your body, mind, and soul is all in this chaos. And it doesn't have to be anxiety and fear. It can be whatever. It can be control. Right. It can be all these other things. But when you're operating in that mode, you're in that chaos. Mm-hmm. And that's when it's like, and another thing too, that a teaching that I heard from another pastor that was really good too over the past week was, God is an awesome God right now. And you need to be and you need to agree with him right now that he is an awesome God, and he is your God, and he's the God Most High. And you can't wish you were over here somewhere. You need to be right where you are and say, okay, I may not be in perfect alignment with you right now, God, but you're the most awesome God. You were the most awesome God 5 minutes ago. You're the most awesome God right now. And you're going to be the most awesome God 5 minutes from now and 5 hours from now.
Right.
But right now, I need you. And then once you get yourself in alignment, and then you're in perfect state that you are in right now with God, and just agree with him that he's the most awesome God, then you can build that bond and that relationship to where he can start walking you on whatever path he chooses to get you out of this chaos and anxiety and all these things that we're talking about.
That's awesome. I love how you were sharing to basically invite God into your situation, and really that's an act of submission on our part, because you're like, okay, well, God, you're greater than I am at this, and so that you have to let go of control.
Yeah,
you can't admit that and be honest, and still hold on to what you think you can control.
Right. And to your point, you can't be standing in your prison cell and be like, I'm in control. Like, I'm in control of my prison cell. That's like...
It's so true.
It is so true. Like, you can just sit there and be like, I can rattle my cup on the bars. Woo! And it's like... That is just, you're just lying to yourself.
That's right.
Okay, like if you really want to believe that you can rattle your cup on your bars on your prison cell and feel in control of that, but that's not real. That's not God. And so, God wants us to like you say, it comes down to handing the controls over to him and be like, all right, God, I need you, and that means I need you. Not just a piece of you.
Oh man, that's good, Chad.
Yeah.
I need you, and that means I need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And boy, that's a lot to think about.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of depth to that.
Yeah.
A lot of depth to that.
Yeah. And I think that holds a lot of people back. It held me back.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh God, I just need this part of you. I got this over here. I feel like I got this under control. I just need you over here. Well, no. I mean, that's, you guys know. That's not the way it works.
No. And, I'm sitting here thinking, it's in God's eyes, peace has already come for you. You're catching up. Okay? So speaking of prisons, you ever seen the Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah.
The movie? Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the character's name, the older guy who gets out of prison and he just can't handle it. And he ends up taking his own life because he knew that for so long that he just couldn't adapt.
Yeah.
So when you're living in anxiety, this is something I learned, that when you live with it for so long, it takes a little while to desensitize to it. You know what I mean? It's not like you snap your fingers, boom, it's over. You never deal with it again. You're going to have moments again as you're developing that peace with God, but eventually the peace takes over the anxiety. So as you are getting there, you're catching up, just remember that God is still there and is still bringing you to where he wants you to be.
Yeah.
And he will get you there. But he will get you there. You won't get yourself there. He will, and no other person will get you there.
That's right.
I mean, I can't take you there and say, here, this is what I did. Because you said it best, it's an individual thing. He will get you there.
Yeah.
And it goes back to, like last year when I filled in for you, this Orange Grove thing.
Yeah.
We've got to get our own oranges. You guys have both been pastors and ministry leaders and all the things that you do. And you guys graciously try to help give some of your oranges to other people. But people realize too, or they need to realize that pastors, they got to grow their own orange trees.
Yeah.
You got to grow your own fruit. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to have your own fruit, and you can help other people, and you can show them how to farm and how to grow stuff. But it's up to each one of us to seek God and walk our path with God. Your pastor can help you.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
But your pastor can only do so much. It's an individual relationship with God that we each have to
love it. Yes.
experience.
Yeah. And that is dead on.
Yep. And when we get weak, we want the jumper cables, which thankfully, Phil so often lately has been my jumper cables, and I've done it for him too.
Yeah.
And so we make this joke about jumper cables, like if one of us is down, we'll jump the other one, and that's a legitimate thing.
Yeah,
it is. But but the big picture, we got to walk our own walk. And there's other people that God gives to walk along our path with us sometimes, and to be supportive, and to pray for one another. And those are all awesome things, and those are all legit. But we got to walk our own path out, and to get to peace and all the other fruits.
And that's God's desire. I mean, God's desire is to have that individual relationship with each one of us. Yeah. And God does not want the same relationship with me that he has with Phil. And that's his heart too. Right. He wants to interact, and that's why we're all different. So, so God's gonna, he's excited about having this relationship with Chad, and this relationship with Ian, and this relationship with Phil. And, that brings him great joy. But if I'm trying to have the same relationship with him that Phil has, and I'm trying to eat all of Phil's oranges, then Phil doesn't get happy. And you don't like Phil when he's not happy.
I promise not to poison the oranges.
He's like, I'll take care of this guy.
Oh, that's good. It's really good stuff.
It really is.
Yep.
It really is good stuff. And the thing about it is that God is waiting to really take us and walk with us on this journey. I mean, that's the uplifting thing, is that we're not left alone. Right. God is right there, and he is ready, and he knows the path, and he made us, and he knows what our purpose is, and he knows how to bring it to pass. It's not too late. You're not too far gone. And all of those different things, that's just the enemy trying to make your life feel like it's worthless, when the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter how old you are or what you've done, Jesus died for it. Does that tell you how much your life is worth?
Yeah.
And so, man, step into it. Step into it with him. Yeah. Go into your next.
And you got to believe that it's for you, too. A lot of people just don't believe that it's for them. It's for somebody else. It's for the pastors, or it's for the people who go to church every week. It's not for me because I slept in last Sunday. No, that's not true. That's religion.
Yeah.
That's religion. And there's no place for religion in this world.
No, but plenty of space for relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, guys, I don't know what time we started. I didn't.
What?
For once, I did not look at the clock, but
what's wrong anyway? we forgot to reset it, but
I think there's a timer on the software over there. Maybe if you can see it, Chad. I'm too far away, but
let me get my spectacles on. No, I don't see the.
Okay, well that's okay. Maybe it's.
Oh yeah, there is. Oh, I see it. We've been recording for 31 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And 30 some
We didn't
seconds.
start right at the beginning, so we got a few more minutes to wrap this up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, are you sure you're at peace with our decision?
I do. I think it'll be good.
I do too.
Because it'll allow us to have, other people. Like bringing Robert on has been a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's other people too that we can have on, and it gives them the flexibility to join us and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think people would be more comfortable from their own homes to join us than they would coming into the studio where it's already cramped.
Yeah.
And, and that's one of the reasons why we haven't had a lot of people on is because we just don't know where to put them in here.
Right.
So, pop them up on that screen. And even if they only come on for a couple minutes and, they're not comfortable being on for the whole time. So we're talking to you. We're coming after you to be on UpLift. So just be ready when we come out knocking on your door or asking you at church or wherever we see you at Kroger or whatever.
Well, and you can do it with a tablet or cell phone. So
absolutely,
like
that's
you could be out on your beach chair on the beach, and you could be doing.
I'm doing that this summer.
I bet you are.
We're gonna do UpLift when I'm sitting at the beach.
Yeah. And we can watch the seagulls swooping.
How about that? That's right. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we're gonna do a call-in show.
You never know. Maybe Phil will find somebody on the beach to join him.
Oh,
you know what?
That doesn't shock me. It would not surprise me in the least.
The pop-up pastor.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Man,
absolutely.
So true.
That's right.
So true.
Praise God.
Yep. So give us some feedback on what you think about our decision.
Yeah.
We would really like to know. For those who have given feedback, thank you. Well, we really appreciate when you do. And if you're waiting for someone else to do it, they've already done it. So we're waiting for you now to do it, to give us feedback.
Yeah.
It's your turn. So let us know what you think. And, we know people are watching. The numbers are increasing. So you're watching. And we're grateful for that. And we want to just continue to give you the best uplifting message each week that we can give.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you want to share your story or your testimony with us, by all means.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We that's what this is about. We're sharing people's stories and experiences, and because it's uplifting to other people. The more vulnerable and the more we put ourselves out there, the more people can relate to it and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I've learned that in my life.
That's a good point. Good point.
Yeah, people want to know that they're not alone in their struggle.
Right.
Well, church is not the place for perfect people.
No.
I mean, let's get to, I know there's a lot of people out there who still have this belief that I'm not good enough to go to church. Well, no one is, but everyone, at the same time, everyone is in that boat. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Some of the most biggest prolific pastors and ministers, and they've had all these TV programs and shows and all this stuff, and they'll sit there and say, I'm a sinner, I'm a child of God, and I'm also a sinner. They're not perfect, and they admit that.
Yep.
So here we are. But the uplifting part is that we're on this path, we're on this walk.
That's right.
And the destination is worth it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Very much so.
Well said.
Yep.
Well said.
All right, just a note. What is today? Well, by the time this airs, this will air on March 30th. I was going to tell them about Valley of Blaze, but be too late. Unless you want to tune in. Are we putting it on Facebook?
I think we might.
If you are watching this, tune to the Fulcrum Center. Is that where it will be? The Fulcrum Center page on Facebook and see Valley of Blaze, a worship service put on by Ian's cousin, Shana Thornton, on March 30th. That's, as soon as we cut off the program here, you can start watching that.
Yeah, there we go. That sounds great. And then we have workshops.
Yes, the workshop on April 1st. Hearing God's Voice is on April 1st. And then on April 22nd is Identity.
Yes.
And then on May 13th is
Purpose.
Purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, your purpose. And it's called Seeing Yourself Through God's Eyes. These 3 workshops. You can come to one, you can come to all 3. They're from 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. on those 3 Saturdays, April 1st, April 22nd, and May 13th at the Belair Methodist Church, First Methodist Church. And that is on Guernsey Street in Belair, Ohio. And you can go to our website, which is, what is it, Chad?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But we can put the link to it on there.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the
On the
show
video.
notes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then if you're interested in coming, you can come if there's no cost
Right.
to it. But you can come if you want to let us know that you're coming, because we're going to have packets and notes and things like
Yes.
that. Just let us know by sending us an email at info@thefulcrumcenter.org. info@thefulcrumcenter.org. Let us know that you're coming.
Yes. And this is kind of like, I think, a prophetic thing to say this, that you're going to see more of us in different ways. Different podcasts, I believe, are coming in the future. I don't know when, but different things are coming. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it is.
We're expanding.
Yeah. God's stretching some tent pegs.
Yes.
So to say.
Yep.
All right. Well,
Good stuff.
Yep.
this may not be the very last time we're ever here in this studio.
It may not be.
But certainly the last time for a while. We'll see you all remotely when we get together again.
That sounds great.
All right. God bless everyone.
Blessings.